Boone Pickens was an oil magnate who chaired a hedge fund that aggressively took over and raided companies in the 1980s and made huge amounts of money in the process. Of all things he used his wealth to buy, his real pride and joy was the Mesa Vista Ranch, which is within a 100-square-mile piece of land in Texas. The main building itself spans more than 30,000 square feet, has carved wood paneling throughout, a dining room that seats 40 people, and a 30-seat home theater that has an adjoining popcorn room. The walls are covered in expensive art, and there are countless chandeliers hanging from the ceilings. And there's guest quarters, VIP suites, a British-style pub, and a health fitness center. Elsewhere, there's an 11,000-square-foot lake house that's surrounded by water that's provided by an aqueduct. And Boone was such a fan of hunting that there's a 2-story kennel where the 40 hunting dogs are kept. While you might expect to see many of the amenities at the ranch at other mansions too, there's one thing that you'd be hard-pressed to find anywhere else: its own airport. The 6,000-foot runway and small terminal building mean that residents and guests can fly in and out whenever they need. And there are fire trucks on hand in case there's a problem, and a fleet of vehicles to drive people to the main part of the ranch and back again. Another surprising structure on the ranch is a small white framed house, and this was Boone's childhood home. His fourth wife bought it, had it disassembled and rebuilt on the ranch as a gift to him, something that he said gave him peace and tranquility in his hectic life. Number 4. The Bubble Palace. There are definitely some ghastly mansions in the world where owners have gone a little too far in the design, but there's no denying that building a multi-million-dollar home certainly gives you the opportunity to experiment with artistic styles. Without a doubt, the most unusual mansion in the world, however, is the Bubble Palace near Cannes in France, and was built between 1975 and 1989 before being bought by the fashion designer Pierre Cardin. Covering an area of around 13,000 square feet, there are 10 bedrooms, a reception hall, and a panoramic lounge, all of which are decorated with works by renowned artists and are in an unmistakable bubble shape. Elsewhere on the site, there's a series of swimming pools and waterfalls, a 500-seat amphitheater that looks out across the Mediterranean Sea that doubles as a helipad, and plenty more. It's the most surprising and garish mansion on Earth, looking more at home on an alien planet, but it's so unique that it has an equally astonishing price tag, somewhere in the region of $400 to $500 million. Number 3. 28A Rutland Gate. While it's relatively easy to build a large mansion in the countryside where there's lots of land to spare, it's a far more difficult prospect to acquire a gigantic home in the center of a city, particularly one that's historic and highly sought after, which is something that makes London's 28A Rutland Gate all the more impressive. The mansion, which was bought by a Chinese businessman at the beginning of 2020 for more than $262 million, overlooks Hyde Park in central London and is by far the most expensive house to have sold in the country. Built on prime real estate, it was once 4 separate homes before they were all combined, and the resulting mansion is simply unbelievable. Covering 62,000 square feet, the 7-story home has 45 rooms, including several grand staterooms, 20 bedrooms, a basement swimming pool, a health spa and gym, an underground parking garage, a separate wing for staff, and several elevators for guests to access the higher floors. The interior was conceived by French designer Alberto Pinto and includes ornate chandeliers, jewel-encrusted bidets, and even 24-karat gold-plated waste bins. There's more floor space in the mansion than the surface of a football pitch, and if property prices in the city keep going in the same direction, this could soon become one of the most valuable private houses in the world. Number 2. The One. Since 2013, former movie producer Niall Niami has been working on a new project that, if all goes right, will set the record for the most expensive home to have ever been sold in the US, known as The One. It's on a prime piece of land in Bel Air, California, and is as futuristic as any mansion you'll ever see. With a floor space of just over 100,000 square feet, The One has 20 bedrooms, 30 bathrooms, 5 swimming pools, a parking garage for 30 cars, a bowling alley, and the obligatory wine cellar that can hold more than 10,000 bottles. There's also a 36-seat movie theater, 2 grand dining rooms, a fully fitted restaurant-quality kitchen, and most surprisingly of all, its very own nightclub. Some of the walls inside are made from jellyfish tanks. It has its very own moat, and the neighbors just down the street include Jennifer Aniston and Elon Musk. There's also a large casino in the property, and a minimalist design throughout, with marble walls and see-through glass panels. If you stand on the roof, you'll be treated to views out across the Pacific Ocean, the LA skyline, and the tiny mansions that everyone else lives in nearby. And you can't help but look at The One and feel like it resembles a spacecraft that's perched on top of one of California's hilltops. Having to take out a loan of more than $80 million to build it, Niami is hoping that it'll prove to be relatively easy to sell once it's completed. But with an asking price of $500 million, there aren't very many people who can actually afford it. Number 1. Antilia. While not technically a mansion in the traditional sense, Antilia is the largest and most expensive private residential property in the world. It's in Mumbai, India, and is owned by billionaire businessman Mukesh Ambani and his family. And even though it looks out across some of the poorest suburbs anywhere on Earth, it stands as a monument to wealth and excess. The house is 27 stories tall and has more than 400,000 square feet of space inside. There's a car garage with space for 168 vehicles, an 80-seat theater, a spa, a temple, 3 helipads on the roof, and several terrace gardens. Each floor has extra high ceilings. In fact, they're the same height as the stories of a normal building, and has been specifically designed to withstand earthquakes that measure up to a magnitude of 8. The top 6 floors are a completely private full-floor residential area, while the ones lower down are where guests stay and even have their own ice cream parlor. The car garage is actually spread out over the first 6 floors, and to take care of them, the 7th floor has a dedicated car service